You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 215 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with my decently okay, fine co-host,
Blech.
Mr. Jeffrey Gargis. Yeah, do you like that? Like, meh.
That's good. That's the sound that comes to mind when you think of Jeff Gargis is meh.
No, here's the deal. I was going to do a nice intro because I actually was just telling you before we recorded that I really love that like you and I have just like kind of like missed each other the past few days. When I say missed each other, I don't mean like, oh, we missed each other. I just mean like literally we've like missed each other the past few weeks. And I was telling you how nice it was to like catch up with you today. And then you started picking on me, and I don't know, it all went out the window, and then we started recording, so that was it.
I don't recall picking on you, but whatever, that's fine.
I'd like to ask Chris to replay the... Just kidding.
Oh, man, Chris is going to be like the backup now where I can't get out of things.
I am still laughing at that intro we did where Chris added the drum roll. That's still my favorite episode now.
Yeah, so now you guys are going to hear us constantly talking to Chris, who's now editing our... So when we talk about Chris is Chris Madsen. He's one of our newer members on the team. He's editing our podcast now, and he's doing awesome. So we talk to Chris all the time prior to recording, and apparently now during the recordings as well.
Wait, did you just, like, pause yourself to... Did you just, like, beep yourself out? You said he's awesome, but you, like, paused awkwardly? Were you, like, swearing in your head and then just, like, didn't... say it come out?
No.
No?
I don't think I actually paused. Like, that might have been a connection thing. It might have been a connection thing.
No way. Oh, okay, fine. It was fitting if you wanted to add a word in there, just isn't appropriate for the podcast, Jeff.
Chris, add a beep in there.
No, there's no beep. No beeps. No beeps. This is a age appropriate, all ages welcome, Teach Better Talk podcast.
I can just hear Mark Heller right now.
No,
being so upset about this intro. So I wanted to... Sorry, I'm laughing. I wanted to see if I can get you to talk about something, but I'm not going to do the normal like time thing. I just want to talk. So I got an email this morning, which has been like super common recently. It's been really, really cool. We don't share them a lot, but they're really great when we get them. And this is from a teacher who runs a grid method in her classroom. And we've gotten a lot of these recently, and we've been doing a lot of work with schools on the grid method, specifically how it connects to remote learning. But we have so many teachers that are coming to us and telling us, like, this is exactly what I needed. It's helped me relieve the stress. I know what I need to do. I'm not worried about bouncing between, because my school bounces based on cases, right? So I'm virtual, I might be hybrid, I might be in person. And it's just the way that the grid method just connects with things. So I know, obviously, I think everyone listening probably knows that you run the grid method in your classroom as well. And I guess, recently found out you're kind of bouncing and changing the way, but you've been remote. It might be different now. So I'm wondering if you could kind of share how you're utilizing the grid method, but really just how it connects to remote learning and how you've been able to sort of adapt by utilizing that. Does that make sense? Am I asking a good question here?
No, it's a good question. It's one that I know you just said you got emails about. I actually have been talking about it nonstop in all of our live videos. It's all people ask me about. So this is good to talk on. I think the main things to highlight is that regardless of the type of environment you're teaching in right now, right? If you're listening and you're like, oh, I'm in remote or I'm in hybrid or I'm all fully in person, the reality is that no matter where you are right now, you need to be prepared to make a shift. And that shift could come, 6 months from now. It could come 2 weeks from now. It could come later this afternoon. I know that's stressful. I didn't mean that. For everybody, take a deep breath in, deep breath out. You'll be fine. But I myself am like finding that we're making a shift, coming mid-October. And so I could really start thinking about completely changing every element of my classroom, right? If I get to have the ability to have students in person, how do I want to shift my instruction? But I think the beautiful gift that the grid method gave me was that all of these foundational elements of the grid method so easily shift and ebb and flow regardless of the environment I'm in, that way, while some elements might change if we go back in person in a hybrid model or anything in between, a lot of like the classroom management elements, the day-to-day routines don't change at all. And I say that in like a really calming way. So there might be certain things that I'm going to figure out, like how I, manage students that are remote and how I manage students in my classroom that are physically there. Or there might be things that change where I could do conferences not only through Google Meets, but now I can do it in person, right? Like those logistical elements, I now get the opportunity to think about. But when it comes to students advocating for their needs, having like a self-paced mastery framework where students understand what they're headed to, that growth mindset that we carry the whole time, how I communicate with families, how students set goals for themselves and reflect on their days, all those elements literally do not change regardless of the environment. So when my students get the call saying, hey, today that you're in person, guess what? For the next 2 weeks, because a case came up, we're now shifting to remote. My students don't miss a beat because nothing really changes besides that I, don't get to see their beautiful face in person. Every other element of their learning, every other element of them taking ownership over their learning and advocating for their needs not only stays the same, but literally has the same routines as well. And so I really think that that's a saving grace every educator is on the hunt for right now, is how do I set up a routine that I can teach my students that no matter what happens, it doesn't feel like the whole world's coming down on them. And so routines is a big element of that comfortability. I know I myself as a 6th grade math teacher, this is the first time they're at our middle school. This is the first time they have more than one teacher. They have 8 teachers, holy cow. And so the more we can help with those routines, the better. So if you're listening right now and you use the grid method, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't use the grid method, I just want you to know there are so many classroom management strategies within that grid method framework that I'd love to share with you. Even if you never go like full grid. I love that. Somebody told me the other day, I'm going full grid. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that phrasing was a thing, but go for it.
It's a thing.
But it's a thing. There's just little classroom management elements I hope every teacher really starts to look at, because we survived the first few weeks. Congratulations. But now we want to make sure that we can survive the rest of the year. And so I think routine is essential. And so whether you're using a routine from the grid method or something else, I wish you all the best for finding the perfect routine.
Awesome. Appreciate you sharing that. So you can find out more. Go to teachbetter.com/thegridmethod. There's a free course on it over at teachbetteracademy.com. And you can also check in. By the way, Ray says she's been talking about it a lot. One of the times that she's talking about that is on our our biweekly check-ins and in our Facebook group. So that's just teachbettergroup.com. So you can catch more of that there. So what did you have to add? You're doing this. There's
also a few free downloads we've added to our download space. Like, if you guys haven't been there, teachbetter.com/free resources, I think it might be.
Free-resources, yeah.
Yeah, just go to teachbetter.com and go to free downloads. It's super easy, but there's a lot of like small, little, quick classroom management tips there as well. So it depends on what you're looking for.
Yep. So all that's good stuff. Awesome. All right, let's talk about this episode. This was a fun one. Another first timer, which is like always cool to do, right? So this was an amazing young woman, Mariah Cooper. She's a third-year public relations major at the University of Georgia. So a little bit different. She's not a classroom teacher, but man, the advice that she had and the viewpoint she has at such a young age, wise beyond her years, great advice. This was a really good episode. She's a co-founder of something called Cocoa Diaries, which we're going to allow her to get into. I love the cause. I love what they're trying to do. Her energy, just her positivity, everything was just infectious. I really enjoy it. I know you've been sort of like watching her for a while, but now I'm going to. So now I'm going to do I made sure that I subscribe and follow and stuff. I'm really interested to watch her as she grows in that group that she's with do really great things. So super excited for this episode. Ray, anything you want to add into this before we listen?
I think my biggest thing, I wouldn't normally say this, so you can like cut this out if you think it's inappropriate, but she's trying to do really great things. You should not only follow the blog, but they're also raising funds to support students. And so if you have an extra buck or two, Like, I'm not saying don't go crazy, but if you have an extra $1 or $2, if you're looking for a good charity that like is just supporting like students being successful, I would really encourage you to go throw a few bucks there. Maybe share it with your family and friends over the holidays. Could be a great opportunity to just do a good thing for someone else.
I'm going to tell you to go crazy. Go ahead and go crazy. Give them all kinds of money. It's for
crazy.
Good reasons.
Put your whole check in there. Who cares? Just do it.
Why
it's
not,
money.
right? All right.
Yeah,
and with that, let's get in episode 215 with Mariah Cooper.
All right, we'll be right back with that episode, but I do want to make sure that you know that you should be listening to all the podcasts, a part of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Yes, Teach Better Talk is a fun one, and we really appreciate that you have subscribed and hopefully rated and reviewed this podcast. But we also have other podcasts that we have the opportunity to highlight over in our podcast network. Head over to teachbetter.com/podcast to see the full list.
All right, we are here and we are chatting with Mariah Cooper. And Mariah, it's so awesome to have you on the podcast. We just found out that it's your first time on a podcast, which we still don't necessarily believe because we think you've probably been on things before. But I know Ray and I both, we really, really love when we're the first podcast that someone is on. That's super fun. It's really cool. So really excited to have you here. Excited to learn about you, your story, what you're doing. Before we get too far into things, how are you feeling right now?
Well, first, thank you guys so much for having me. And honestly, school has kind of got me a little stressed, but I'm just really happy I get to kind of unwind and chill with you guys tonight. So I'm feeling good. How are you?
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm in a great mood, Jeff. I don't know about you. I'm in a great mood because we get to chat with you for Teach Better Talk. So this is going to be awesome. So, Mariah,
Ray, anytime I get to hang out with you, I'm good.
Is that how you feel? Don't lie to our listeners. They know better, Jeff. Come on. Mariah, I was so excited that you were joining us for Teach Better Talk because, not to sound like a total fan, but I've seen a lot of the work you've done, and it's kind of cool for me as an educator seeing some of the work you've done, because a lot of the work that you've done has been through, being a successful student. I know we're going to get through all that, but I just want to thank you separately, just how excited I am to have you here. For our listeners who may not know about you and are maybe just connecting with you for the first time, can you maybe answer that age-old question of like telling us a little bit about what you do, why you do have some sort of passion for education, what you do in your day-to-day life, all that good stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm 20 years old. I'm a college student, a third-year PR major at the University of Georgia. So like not really going down the education path, but my mom is a former teacher. My parents, they own daycares now. So just being in education, especially early childhood education, I grew up with that. And then going to a middle school like the Ron Clark Academy has just threw me right into like education and teacher training and all those kinds of things. And it really, really connected me to some awesome teachers that to this day, just put me in positions and opportunities to speak, and encourage teachers. So I love teachers. My mom was one, and it's just a certain passion and I don't know, authenticity about teachers, just seeing a group of people who are in a field that a lot of them truly, truly love. And so I just try to connect with them as much as possible.
I love it. So I want to get right into talking about something that you have going on called the Cocoa Diaries. So can you share with us, I know you're one of the founders of it, what is this all about? It's at officialcocodiaries.com. We can find it, but like, tell us, what's it all about? Who needs to go check this out? Where did it come from? How did it start? What do you do?
Yeah. So,
I know that was like 8 questions in one, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I have a twin sister. So me, my twin sister, and 4 of our best friends, we started, Cocoa Diaries, which essentially is a college blog for women, but primarily for Black women in college to really help, them navigate like socially, academically, and professionally. And actually, so like it's a blog, so we just talk about all things college, like relationships in college, should you do it, study tips, organization, how to find scholarships. And recently we just launched our Cocoa Diaries scholarship. So like we're putting out 3 scholarships for their fall semester, each $1,000 to go out to some Black girl trying to achieve her undergraduate degree in the U.S. So we're just here trying to help other Black women throughout this journey because we kind of know how hard it is.
Wow. I mean, such awesome work. And to start that at something like that at such a young age and to see that and have that vision, that's super cool. That gets me fired up to just watch you grow and watch that group grow. So that's super cool. So nice work there. Proud of you for that. That's really neat. And now it gets me excited now for kind of get into this story because one of my favorite questions to talk about is about failure and about struggle and learning from that. You know, I always say that I've been really fortunate to fail a lot because I've learned from all that and it's made me who I am today. So I love talking this question, especially with younger folks. And I know I'm sounding like an old man right now, but let's just be real. I'm the old one on the podcast. So, if I'm hoping that you can share a story with us about a time that you've had a failure in your life. Tell us what happened, how did you overcome that, and then what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, so I'll just start off by saying that I always loved school. I just loved being at school, but I was never like the best student. Like no matter how hard I tried, like I just always struggled, especially with standardized testing. So when it came time for me applying for college, my standardized test scores weren't the best. So I had a really hard time. My grades are great, but I just had a really hard time finding schools that I thought I could get into. So because of that, my dream school became Wake Forest. Wake Forest did not require standardized test scores. And I was like, oh, perfect. This is great. This is my dream school. My actual dream school was the University of Georgia, but UGA, their requirements were way too high in terms of standardized testing and the GPA requirements. I did not have that. So I was like, UGA is out the question. I'm focusing on Wake Forest. And I did everything I could. Had one of their professors write me a recommendation letter. I drove all the way up there for an interview. Everything was lined up and great. And I didn't get in. And I was heartbroken because I thought I was just a shoo-in and everything was perfect. But no. So for the longest time, I was just sad and depressed my senior year because I was like, well, there goes my shot at college. And then my twin sister gets into University of Georgia, UGA, and I'm like, great. So my sister's into this great school, and here I am. I keep getting denied from every single school. But my mom just said, Mariah, just give it a shot. Just apply to UGA, just see where it takes you. You never know. The worst they can say is no. So I applied for a regular decision, and I just remember it was just some random day after school. My sister and I were walking home, and I just get this notification on my phone, and I clicked it, and I see these fireworks. It's like, congratulations, you got into UGA. Like, and I did not get into Wake Forest, like completely devastated and embarrassed because y'all, I don't know who told me to do this, but I had told all my family and friends and the professor who wrote the recommendation, like, oh yeah, I'm going. Like I already got in, right? I'm telling everyone this and I did it. So I was so embarrassed, but it really worked out for the best because I got into somewhere that I literally could only dream about going. So I'm happy about that. It just made me, I guess the thing I learned from that is that things just work out for the better. Just being patient and just trusting life to guide you as long as you just put your foot out there and just try.
Oh, well, let me say congratulations. That's a great turnaround to that story.
Hey.
And now you're there. And so your sister's there as well. Is the whole team from the Cocoa Daughters, are you all there at UGA? Or?
No. So what's really cool, so we all became best friends in middle school. So we have friends, like one at an Ivy League. We have some at HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. And then my sister and I at a PWI, like UGA. So just sort of covering all types of schools.
Nice. All right, so now let's we're gonna stick with stories here. Let's flip it though. Let's talk about a successful moment you've had, which I know that one turned into a successful moment, so that's great. But we're gonna talk about another successful moment you've had. It could be something big or something small, but tell us what happened. Why was it a success for you, and then what'd you take away from that experience?
Okay, so one of my, I guess, the most successful moment I've had was 2 summers ago, so the summer of 2019, and I was about to do like the biggest speech I ever had. It was supposed to be for 45 minutes. And it was in a crowd of 4,200 educators at the Get Your Teacher On National Conference. And I was freaking out because I had never done a speech that big, especially not in a really long time. But Hope and Wade King, they really just trusted me. So the whole night I flew all the way to Texas, y'all, literally with that outline. This was supposed to be 45 minutes long, and I had a 1-page outline with like 4 bullets on it. Just like, oh, I'm just going to enjoy the experience. But the night before, I freaked out so much. I cranked out probably, 30 typed like notes for the speech, trying to memorize everything, crying all night. My mom is there. I'm like, oh my God, like I waited to the last minute. I procrastinated. This is terrible, terrible. But she was like, the reason you procrastinated, because like intuitively you knew that you could do this. You've been doing this for so long. Your subconscious trusted you enough to carry you this far. So just don't look at it that way. And y'all, the next day I was supposed to get on there on that stage. I was sweating so much, freaking out, but never in my life had I had a feeling like when I got on, I literally zoned out. I just got on, the speech happened, and I got to the end. And like, I'm seeing people in the front row crying, people clapping, and I'm like, what just happened? And I went back to watch it. And I had never, I wouldn't say I'm someone who gets proud of themselves a lot, but like, I was so proud of myself. And so many opportunities came from that one speech. So I think definitely was one of the best experiences of my life, and I consider it a success.
Oh, it's a huge success. What do you feel like was your biggest takeaway from the audience took away from that speech you gave?
So I guess the message I was going for was just letting teachers know that the work you do, because a lot of them were elementary school and middle school teachers, and just letting them know that the work that they do actually matters, right? Because a lot of times you really feel like unless you're a high school or college professor, your students don't really care about you. They forget about you. But a lot of times that's just not true. So just a lot of them came up to me saying, oh my God, like you just made me feel so valued and so seen, and just encouraged me to put my best foot forward just this next school year. So I think that's what I was hearing a lot from them, and just saying that they appreciate it coming from a student and not another teacher.
Absolutely. Every educator loves to hear that they are valued, appreciated, heard. And I think it's so special when you get to hear that message from a student, especially one of your own students, depending on what the conversation is. But I think that that's so important. That doesn't surprise me at all that you had people crying in the first row. Come on. That's awesome. That's so fun. So
it was a really great experience. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. So when it comes to excitement, when we talk about excitement about education, I kind of want to think about this in 2 different ways. Maybe one for you as a student right now in education, but also maybe, something for educators. Is there something that's really keeping you excited right now about education, and especially in what you're doing specifically?
Yes. For me, it's just always seeing the end goal and what I want to do, because education is so different right now, right? Like with everything being virtual, it's just hard to feel excited about it and to get up and just be excited about Zoom meetings all day. But for me, it's just seeing the end goal. I'm just constantly surrounding myself outside of class time with like imagery and videos of women doing essentially what I want to do when I grow up, right? Being activists in their community, working for nonprofits, watching their interviews. And that keeps me going, right? Just seeing the end goal, because if not, this would all feel so hard and a little pointless sometimes. And that's just, college in general. But outside of that, yes, to me, it's just always reminding myself where I'm trying to get.
Absolutely. And with you're obviously going for your communication degree, and you with your work in Cocoa Diaries, I'm sure there's some element of that that's also keeping you excited about,
Yes.
education as well. Hopefully with, this important movement that we finally have the world focusing on, which is a great necessity right now.
Yes, agree. Honestly, Cocoa Diaries keeps me sane. Because if I had nothing to work on outside of schoolwork, I would lose my mind. It's just giving me a new hobby, and it's allowed me to connect with, just other girls in college. But yeah, it's also kept me away from Zoom meetings, and anything that does that for me is a blessing right now.
Absolutely. I can only imagine. All right. This is where we talk about advice. I am so confident that you have so much advice to share, but if you could only pick like one element of advice, whether it be for a new teacher or a teacher that's been in the classroom for 30 plus years, what type of advice would you give an educator right now?
Okay. The one piece of advice I would give is that if you're a new educator, right, and you get on Teachergram, you're seeing all of these great teachers on Instagram, you looking at the Ron Clark Academy, and you're like, oh, this is what the perfect educator looks like. This is what being the best kind of teacher looks like. If that's what's in your brain, throw it away. Those things work for those people, and that is awesome. But you do not have to be that in order to be a great teacher. Being a great teacher, especially in your first year, is just bringing you, like your most genuine and authentic self, into the classroom. And that's hard, especially depending on the age range of kids that you have. But trusting yourself enough to be able to let your personality shine and your students respond, being able to be embarrassed in front of your students, let your students know you don't know what you're talking about, try new things. Maybe you do want to stand on the desk like Ron Clark, and then you realize, okay, that's not my thing. That's okay. But finding out your groove and your rhythm, I think, is the best advice I could give to new teachers, and not putting too much pressure on yourself to, be like these Instagram educators or like RCA,
Oh, so important. Bring you, authentic you, to the classroom. I love that, Jeff. What do you think?
That is top-notch advice that cannot be said enough. I love that. This is good stuff. So let's have some fun here, Mariah. We're going to do the next 6 questions. Okay. I'm going to throw them at you. Your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. Are you ready to go?
Okay, yeah, because I ramble, but I'll try.
All right. No pressure, but Kim Bearden did awesome.
Oh, my God. Of course she did. Of course she did.
Just saying. The bar is way up there.
Okay, I'll try.
This is a Kim Bearden bar. It's like you can't even see it now.
Jeff, she's going to set her own bar. Don't even pretend like she can't set her own bar for this.
I can hear Kim right now telling me that she can't even get to Mariah's bar. So that's I can totally hear her. So all right, here we go. What is one tech tool that you cannot live without?
My AirPods. I need them to get through my day.
I'm with you. I feel the same way. Give us a book that you're reading right now.
Oh, my book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Who do we need to follow on social media today? You can give us up to 3.
You need to follow Melanated Mama. You need to follow Tamala Brown. Is that her name? And you need to follow at Official Coco Diaries.
What is a good YouTube channel, website, or podcast that educators should check out?
A good YouTube channel. I like Wow Presents, because if you just want to laugh, I love drag queens, and just to listen to drag queens talk about anything and give you advice is the best thing ever. Check that
out. Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Getting up early in the morning to meditate, even if it's only for like 10 minutes. Some quiet time is awesome.
Ooh.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice I've ever received? Oh, don't care what people think about you, because they're only thinking about themselves.
Oh, that was a good one. That's a mic drop right there. Wait, say that slower. Hold on. Let's make sure that like really sinks into all of our listeners. Say that again.
It's don't care what other people are thinking about you, because they're only thinking about themselves.
Boom. Every educator, you have to remember that. That is an awesome piece of advice. I love that.
Hey, what? Ray. You still, I'm not really buying this whole, this is my first podcast.
She's been on, this is like her, 200th podcast is really, she's done this before. Do you think that, Do you think her answer was trophy worthy, Jeff? What do you think? Teach Better Talk trophy worthy?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Trophy. Oh my God.
Let's send it.
Mariah.
We're going to put a little
I want you to know
top.
we are really hardcore in our Teach Better Talk recordings. And those 6 questions really determine if you get awarded the Teach Better Talk trophy. Yeah. So I just want you to know, Jeff sends it out. So if you don't get it in the mail, make sure you hound him about it.
Oh, I'm excited. I love to win. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I love this. So good. So I want to make sure that people stay connected to you, not only because of the work you're doing now, but I just have so much excitement for the work you're going to continue to do as you continue to get into your passion fields and just continue to grow. I love the work that you're doing for educators. I myself have just continued to follow your story, and I have just loved kind of cheering for in the background for all your success. So would you mind sharing how our listeners can stay connected to you and also how they can connect with the Coco Diaries?
Yes. Okay. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is at Mariah Cooper _ Mariah, like Mariah Carey, and Cooper, Cooper. And Coco Diaries, you could visit our blog. It's officialcocodiaries.com. Or follow us on Instagram, just at Official Coco Diaries. We post every single day. And you don't have to be a Black woman in college. We're just posting all kinds of stuff, especially for women, just funny memes, some just cool info. So be sure to check us out.
And, you can find all the links and all the resources and everything we talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as really important links for connecting with Mariah and the whole team over there and keeping this conversation going. So head over to teachbetter.com for those show notes. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and a review, we'd really appreciate that as well. Let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing people and share this podcast with them. Mariah, this was awesome. I'm so glad that we were able to be your first podcast. I'm guessing first of many. I'm super excited to share it out and let people just get to know you and connect with you and the work you're trying to do and the positivity and energy that you bring. And I'm really excited to share this with everyone. So just really appreciate you taking some time and hanging out with us.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.